to Barbara and Lisa. We have with us a very popular Gourmet Girls.
Can you see us? Are we?
We see you.
I can see you, both of you. Hi there. There. We will demonstrate Hanukkah and Thanksgiving dishes. We're delighted to have them with us this evening. And I'm going to let Barbara and Lisa talk about themselves. Okay? And everybody else can mute themselves. Right?
Yeah, please
All right,
mute.
Barbara, Lisa.
Okay, this is Lisa.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see everybody. Even though I don't see you, I see little pictures of all of you. And welcome to Gourmet Girls. We're broadcasting right from the store. We just closed, so we're a little messy and
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna see what we can cook up for you guys today, and you can ask questions. We'll try to answer them. We'll talk about our store a little bit. I know a lot of you have been in. I know some of you have not been in. So hopefully we'll see you all soon. So I'm Lisa, and taking pictures today is Barbara.
I'm the photographer.
And we've been together as Gourmet Girls for close to 30 years in some capacity or another. And we know everybody in this community, and I think everybody knows us. And hopefully we have a good reputation. We try really hard. I know we don't always succeed, but with everybody's feedback and everybody's help, we've been able to make this happen in a really difficult
time. Yeah.
I think most of the people out there, all you ladies, watch the news. You know what's happening in the world, obviously with COVID, but unless you're in it like we are, you don't see the day-to-day struggles with supplies and as well as demand and price increases. And you go to the grocery store and you're spending more, you can imagine how much more we're spending. And some things we can't even get. I can't get international bologna right now. I can't get frozen spinach right now. I can't get fresh cranberries to come in the door. I have to go get them just because my supplier can't get them from his. So we're working really hard, and we do it for our community and all of our customers that have been with us for a long time, plus all the new customers. Like I said, even if you're a new customer to Gourmet Girls, we have been in your life, believe it or not, for 30 years, Barbara and I. And
in some capacity or another.
Some capacity.
That's right.
In this neighborhood. And so we just feel like family. And every time Carol or somebody else calls us and says, can you do this? Will you do this? We jump at it because it's an opportunity to thank you guys for supporting us. So thank you guys. And excuse me for 1 second. I have to turn the oven off.
Okay.
Keep talking.
It's just to turn the oven off. Sorry. But today we're going to be making potato latkes and our famous fresh applesauce. And we're going to do something for Thanksgiving, which is a butternut squash, feta, and cranberry salad. And it's honey glazed butternut squash, which is delicious. It's a great side dish for Thanksgiving. So hopefully here she is. Okay.
Did I already miss a question?
You did not miss any questions.
I hate to miss anything. All right, so what should we start
So what are you starting with?
Our first ingredient, and which is always, to me personally, a very important ingredient, is a beverage of your choice. It could be beer, wine, water, whatever it is. Make cooking fun. Even though I'm at work, now I'm done, so I can make this fun. So I hope you guys are home chilling, relaxing, and enjoying what we're going to try to do today. So let's start, I guess, you want to start with potato latkes?
Why not?
It's a given. All right, so potato latkes. And I think we did this last year,
We did.
around this time, maybe a couple weeks later. And I think we did potato latkes. And what I want to do is, I can't do all the work because, the peeling and the shredding and it gets to be a mess, as you know. So I kind of downsized everything. So today we're going to start with Yukon Gold potatoes. These are the ones we're using, but you can also use russet potatoes, sweet potatoes. You can use purple potatoes. I know people that make the purple potato pancakes for the Ravens. So basically, and you don't have to do this either, but basically most of the people like to peel off the skin. So you don't have to, it's not necessary. Can't find my peeler, here it is. I will tell you, this is one of those newfangled, I've been doing this for, like I said, 30 some years now. And this was a weird peeler to me, but it's very good once I got used to it. I'm used to that old fashioned one with the metal handle that Bubby had. You know, that's what I'm used to.
I love the sound effects, Lise.
So peel your potato, peel your potato. After we're done peeling our potato,
And if you're making 10,000 potato pancakes, well,
call Gourmet Girls.
yeah,
because
that's a
we're
little,
gonna be making
that's a lot of
10,000
potatoes.
potato cakes. So I'm getting most of the skin off. I didn't bring an onion. I'm sorry. I apologize. It was a busy afternoon. You can figure it out. Potato, grate it. Some people like to grate it really fine. Some people like it really thick. This is just, you know, your regular shredded potato. You can chop it up again if you want. I will say when we cook them here, we puree them. Or almost puree them, pretty close. And it comes out to be a much finer mixture. As you can see, this one here is pureed, but because we're not standing in the kitchen, it's hard to show you. But this one's pureed in a machine, like a Cuisinart, a food processor, a blender. But I think as most people probably remember, the old fashioned, like Bubby used to do, grated potatoes. And then you'll add a grated onion as well. Depending on how many you're making, the portions are going to change. You can ask me questions if you want at the end, but I don't have an exact recipe. And I'll tell you why, because every potato is different. And I can tell you 10 potatoes, but if you use this potato versus a russet potato, you're going to use a little more flour because the russet has more starch versus the Yukon, but the Yukon has a better color. So there's different.
And a better flavor.
Yeah, excuse me. I have to listen to that.
She's a little parched.
I talk too much. So anyway, getting back to different ways to prepare these. First of all, I find this way makes a huge mess. Okay. We are in the new way of cooking. And sometimes part of that is shortcuts or hacks. You know, that's the way a lot of people put it now, hacks. So, and maybe I shared this last year, but a lot of times you can use something like this. And all this is a fresh shredded potato. So the company has already peeled it for us. They've cleaned it first. So they peeled it, washed it, shredded it, and you get this really nice matchstick style frozen potato. You can handle it really easily. You can, like we just said, you can go ahead and use it just like this. You can take a knife and just chop it up a little so you still have that hard, that shredded consistency, but make it a little smaller. Or you can also, what we like to do is throw it in that food processor. Because when you throw it in the food processor, it's just for us anyway, just a little more even cooking. And since we're selling so many of them, we can't have all those little jagged edges, although I love the jagged edges because that's all the little crunchy pieces that everybody loves. But for cooking here, we have to keep those nice, fresh, clean edges so we don't break them because
Waste.
I don't want to talk about the waste. Anyway, so these are great. These are, you find these in your freezer case. Rida makes them anywhere you eat French fries. Quite frankly, you could probably just use French fries if you wanted and throw them in the Cuisinart. It's really the same thing. These are the same thing. So we're going with this recipe for now. And I've got this zoomed ahead in time. I had somebody prepare this for me because
You can.
I can because it's one of the benefits of being a gourmet girl. You can ask people to prep things. So I've taken 4 pounds of those potatoes that I just showed you. And this is 1 large onion thrown in our food processor and just brought to this consistency. And this is all this is right now is the potatoes. I've added already before you got here salt and pepper, generic, and some garlic powder. Most of you don't use the 5-pound tub, but garlic powder, just a pinch, you know, it's to your taste. You don't even have to put it in. Sometimes I find it makes things a little bitter, but I like to throw everything together and excuse me, my seasonings and stuff, and then taste it. And basically you're tasting for the flavor. Do you have some salt? Do you have some pepper? Do you have that enough onion in there? Do you have everything you need? Once I get that where I want it, I'll start adding eggs. Now, I personally do not have issues with eating raw eggs. Not that I'm going to eat a raw egg, but I don't mind cooking dough and all those things, and I don't mind mixing this and tasting it. But I know a lot of people do. So you can do it first before you add the eggs. But remember, the eggs and the flour that we're going to eventually add to this, it's going to take some of that salt away and some of that pepper away. So even though you taste that salt, don't feel like you're oversalted. You're going to lose some of it in the whole process of cooking. So for what I've done here, I'm doing 2 eggs. I'm just going to take the shell out that I did. I have washed my hands. We're just going to mix it up really good and get a nice. And again, does anything how much water are in these potatoes?
While you're mixing, we had 2 questions. One is if you can send us the recipe. 2 is how do you keep the potatoes from getting purple or gray?
Okay, very good question. So if you're going to go with the old style method, then put them in water, a little bit of lemon juice, or a little bit of vinegar, and that will keep them from turning color. Before you grate them, obviously. If you use these potatoes,
They don't turn dark. Yeah.
And that's why we love them so much, is that they don't turn color. So I've got a lot more time on these potatoes than I ever have with those, with the, doing it, the right way.
And how many potatoes to 1 egg?
I think it's more of how many potatoes in 1 egg. So I'm gonna say this size potato and a small onion. I'm gonna say 6.
To 1 egg. To 1 egg and 1 onion.
You're gonna mix it because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a different amount of water depending on those in your
Potatoes,
potato,
yeah.
depending on what kind of potatoes you're using. But you'll have a nice batter. Like you see how it's sticking together?
It's beginning to actually look like mashed potatoes.
Yeah. I want it to be a little thinner than that.
Yeah.
And I've already put 2 eggs, so I'm putting another egg in there. So I want it to be, it's about consistency. And yeah, I can give you a recipe, but
Okay.
I
If
really-
you
I
send
really
it to us, we'll send it out.
okay.
As a matter of fact, I will print up all 3 of the recipes that we're doing today and send them to you so that you can distribute them to whoever.
And how about if we also send our address and phone number? That way, if you don't want to make them, you can just call us and say, can you send me?
Good point, Lise.
So,
Good promotion.
I'm sorry. This actually needs another egg. I'll be honest with you. It needs to be a little looser for my liking. And then it'll be good. Yeah. And then we're going to throw a little bit of flour in. And I'm going to say for this, and I believe I said this was 4 pounds of potatoes. I'm probably going to throw about 3 or 4 tablespoons of flour.
Ah,
Did we lose you? Did we lose you?
no, I had a phone call coming in. And just to let you know, Lisa is adding flour, but you can add matzah meal for Passover.
And you can make them gluten-free. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't put
Yeah.
almond flour or
Almond flour, any other
Yeah,
types of
meal flour.
flour, should you be gluten-free.
we have a couple of others actually.
Yeah.
So this is basically the consistency we want. It's still keeping its shape, and it's not going to fall apart in our pan. And this is going to give you this style is going to give you a nice round, even-edged, fluffy-ish pancake. If you want to make your pancake, a lot of people like to have like thinner pancakes and more burned on the
I
outside.
personally like the thinner ones.
Like
I like
hard
them
ones.
crisp. Yeah.
And you just got to get a little more egg in there and make a thinner batter, just like making pancakes or crepes. So you're just adding a little bit more moisture to it, so it's going to spread out a little bit more, and that way you're going to have more surface area. So this way we can keep them, so I can sell them in the case without them falling apart. Where you want to do them at home and you want them a little crispier, you can go with a little extra egg. And just add an egg at a time until you get a lighter, smoother, spoonable batter. It's going to be much looser. But as soon as you put your first one in, if it falls apart, just pull that one out, obviously, and add a little more flour to it, and it'll bring it together, and you won't have so much splatter, little edges. Although some people like those little edges too.
There's another question. Do you squeeze out some of the water with the potato before you add the other ingredients?
If you're doing the regular fresh potato, yes, I would definitely use a strainer and get as much water out as you can. You don't have to smash it through and get all the water. You want some of it. But with the pre-done potatoes, again, there is no water. So you're not really, I mean, if you look at my batter, I really should have done one with fresh potatoes to show you. But if you look at my batter, it's still the same as it was when I mixed it. Where if I use this potato,
It will be
just-
seeping water.
it seeps water and it separates. And every time I go to make my latkes, I got to remix it. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with that because you've made latkes a million times, and that's the way we all make our latkes. So it's just a whole.
You're gonna have a big
style.
run at the grocery stores for
Right.
shredded frozen potatoes.
Because it just is much easier. But anyway, yes, when you're using this style, you have to get some of that water. So you're going to want to strain it. I do it with the onion. Any more questions on that one? Come on, ladies, there's got to be a question.
All right,
So
Somebody asked about using seasoned breadcrumbs in the potatoes.
I've never done that, but you can. I don't know what it would lend to it, with the exception of you're talking
think it
about
would
maybe
make it-
Italian breadcrumbs or something like that, like panko or something like that. I don't know what it would add to it. I'm not sure what the advantage to that would be.
I think it would make a grainier texture inside the latke, and I think that most people like them crunchy on the outside and nice and light and fluffy on the inside. So I don't think that would work. I mean, we could try it,
I
but
think a lot of times when people use those breadcrumbs, the seasoned breadcrumbs, it's to coat the outside. But you can make something like this thicker and form it and roll it in breadcrumbs and fry it. So
Wow.
that's a big
like a
coquette.
potato puff, yeah.
Yeah, so that you can absolutely do. To mix it in, I'm sure it would work. I just don't know if that would be the best flavor profile. But no questions. So should we go fry these, or should I show you something else? You need us to see? Do you want us to fry these?
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
please, one or two, just to show us how
All
it's
right. I'll
done.
go turn well, you want to just walk back there?
Yeah.
You guys can travel back to the kitchen. Is everybody turned off? Because I never hear anybody talking.
Well, no, it's muted.
So you're coming through our kitchen now, and you're gonna probably hear a little more noise.
Yeah.
Even though we're closed, we've always got the fans and stuff going. So this is our stove, and in here I just have a little. There's already some oil in here. Maybe show there's some oil in here. I prefer really to get the pan hot, then put the oil in and let the oil get hot. I just prefer that.
Lisa, stay close enough to the phone so we can hear you, please.
So I was saying that there's already oil in this pan. I prefer to get the pan hot, then add some oil, and then let it get hot again, and then add my potato pancakes.
How deep is the oil? Quarter inch, half inch?
It's probably a quarter of an inch.
Okay.
Again, can you guys hear me?
They can hear the sizzle.
I think
No.
part of getting that fluffiness is the amount of oil that is floating in.
You're gonna cool it down again. Yeah. Not ready yet.
So I just throw a little in there, see if it's hot enough, and it's not.
Sure sounds like it. Just a side note, while Lisa's waiting for the oil to get hot, just wanted to make sure everyone knows that we have our Thanksgiving menu out and it's online and we're taking orders now. We are getting fresh turkeys from Albright Farms in Moncton, and they are the best. They're a little bit on the pricier side, obviously, than just going out and buying a frozen turkey, but you could definitely tell the difference. Just wanted to let everyone know that. She's in the process now of putting those babies in the oil.
Someone asked if, Barbara, you can turn the phone sideways so we can see across the stove a little bit.
Okay,
Oh, yeah. I don't know what they're looking at.
there you
These
go.
are frying, obviously.
Can you see better
I
that way?
always think the first batch is the prettiest batch because the oil is really clean. Everything's nice and fresh.
Spatula.
It'll take a couple minutes, obviously. But see, they're holding together pretty nicely. We use that scoop. We use this scoop. Just for us, again, it's consistency. The way we're selling them in the case. If I'm at home, I usually just use a spoon and each one has its own little shape, obviously. So once it starts turning a little bit of brown around the edges, we'll flip them. Now, in a couple of weeks, actually probably very soon, much more sooner than that, all of these burners will be working frying pans just like this one because we have to make a lot of potato pancakes for Hanukkah, obviously. It falls right after Thanksgiving,
Day after.
the day after Thanksgiving, which just is an extra added bonus. So some of these, I don't know if you can actually see. Why don't you come above me a little bit? Don't drop your phone.
We're not ready to turn yet.
I want them to float a little bit. They're starting to get brown around the edges. I'm just trying to make sure they're not sticking. Usually they just pop right up. Now the worst part of this whole well, there's a bunch of bad processes to this process, but part of it is that flip over. When you do that flip over, try not to get burned.
Well, you should take a cup.
Which is
You should just take something else and just tilt it over. I
do that.
normally, huh?
no. I'm just saying for most people when they're cooking latkes, watch out. This first
And
turn.
what kind of oil do you prefer? Corn oil?
You can absolutely use a lot of. We use a blended oil. It's a canola and olive oil blend. Which
Okay.
works out perfectly for this. But you can use vegetable oil. You can use soy. You know, like
Whatever you prefer.
peanut oil. It's really preference. All of them are going to give you the.
They're beautiful.
Wow.
What happened? Oh, there they are.
Whew.
Well, we lost you for a minute.
So in these pans, the size that we make this, there'd probably be like at least seven pancakes in there. And then we'd have 4 pans at least going all day. So that's a lot of potato pancakes. That's a lot of cakes. So
Great.
and what's nice about this for the customer is you don't have any of that mess, you don't have any of that smell, you don't have any of the mess or any of the smell. Because those are probably the two, that's the biggest thing, the mess and the smell. And when I say smell, because we go home and I'll tell you, you can just smell it, the oil on you. And I know back in the day when my mom made latkes for us, the house smelled like latkes for literally days. So I'm gonna check these and these. I'm not gonna flip them over again. I'm gonna let it drain a little bit. And throw it on the paper towel. I do like to check them because each part of the frying pan kind of has a different heat. Whoop. Got away. You do really have to be careful because you are working with hot oil. And like I said, that first flip, it's very dangerous. All right, there's our 4 locks.
They are.
Lovely.
And believe me when I tell you, they smell delicious. I wish we had smell-o-vision.
Another question was, how do you know if it's done?
Well, generally when it is
Yeah, no
crispy,
problem.
when it's crispy on the outside and it starts floating, and that's why I like
Okay,
to
and
check
then-
the bottom. But the bottom sometimes will get a pocket, a little air pocket. So sometimes you need to leave them in a touch longer. That air pocket isn't frying in the oil. But You can-
Do they freeze well?
Oh, they
very well.
excellent. They freeze excellent.
Can they freeze stuck together? Do you put like wax paper or something between them?
I would put wax paper or something between them. Like let them cool first, then put wax paper, then freeze them. And then once they're frozen, you can put them in storage bags or do whatever.
Excuse me for interrupting you, but if you freeze them individual, like on a sheet pan or something, just let them get, cool enough to be firm. And then you could just pack them up in baggies or anything and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've got weeks. You can do that for weeks. You can make these right now. We just don't have time to make them now. That's why we just end up making them nonstop when the time comes, because we're busy making other things nonstop now, like knishes and applesauce, which brings me to our next recipe. If we're looking for another recipe, are there any more
questions about
lucky
potato
questions?
pancakes or lakis?
They're available now, obviously. Call the store. What are your Lockies? All right, I'll throw away my trash. Clean up a little bit while we're waiting for questions. Not one question?
No questions?
And when you take them out of the freezer, how do you reheat them? Do you put them back in the oil? Do you just
No.
put them in the oven?
Yeah, just thaw them out, put them on a cookie sheet, and pop them in the oven.
What about
No,
what about a microwave?
I wouldn't
No.
use a microwave. I don't like to. Nah.
Okay.
The microwave,
That crispy
the
flavor. You just
microwave
gotta
will make them
heat.
soggy, and the oven will crisp them up a little
Yes,
bit.
I guess if you don't mind them being soggy, you can put them in the microwave. But if you take them out, let them thaw, they will be, and throw them on a cookie sheet. Or if you have an air fryer, you're really good in an air fryer too, because then they'll re-crisp up really good. So this is nice.
Okay, great.
All right.
Okay, let me get this
Mess.
out of your way.
And then, so you can also do this. You have to make sure that we're being.
Sorry.
You can also do this, like I said, with sweet potatoes. It doesn't really have to be a potato at all. Lakis is really just a pancake. So you can make out of corn. That's really what a corn fritter is a corn pancake. So there's so many things, the same technique you can do with so many different vegetables.
And you can mix the sweet potatoes and the Yukon Gold potatoes if you want. Gives it a really nice flavor.
Especially if you shred the old style and shred them, then you have those nice shreds of the two different color potatoes.
Yeah, if you're making a dozen or so, that's great.
Right. If you're making 5,000, not a good idea. All right. Let's move to this traditional applesauce.
Yep.
For applesauce. Well, last year we had a lot of questions about applesauce, so I'm going to try to cover them a little bit. So this year we did a nice display from Balgers. We got lots of fresh apples this year and applesauce. Even though we make our own applesauce, people like to have it in their fridge. So we got a whole bunch of different kinds of apples. We got Granny Smiths, and these are all, like I said, from Balgers. We got Wine Sap, we got Honeycrisp. We display that. We just been using them in different recipes that we're doing at the store. Obviously now Hanukkah, so we need to start making applesauce, because for as many potato pancakes as we sell, we also sell applesauce. So for this, unlike the potatoes where we have a simple hack of these where we don't have to peel them,
There is no
there's
simple
no
hack.
hack for these. The best hack besides the peeler is the little.
Hire somebody to do it for you.
We're losing your conversation, Lisa, somehow.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what we found is the old-fashioned peeler, or they make the tabletop, the wind it up and it peels it. That actually works really well. We go through a couple of those every season because we're going through so many apples, but those do work really well. So anyway, we like to take a blend of different apples. I always like to have Granny Smith apples in there somewhere because they give it a really nice tart flavor. Somewhere is nice. So very simple. Everybody's different. Some people like the skin on their apples, some do not. Quite frankly, I don't think I really mind the apple skins, but for customer purposes, we're gonna peel the apple. And again, you can do what I'm doing with a knife. But you always got that handy dandy peeler, or like I like to call it, prep cook.
Yeah.
So actually his name is Josh. We'll be peeling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apples in the next several. We've already been peeling them, but in the next several weeks to come, tons of apples, and he's going to basically peel them. We're going to cut them. Basically, we cut them in quarters. You don't need to go much smaller than that. Whatever's easy. Yeah, about chunks like that. And they're just going to go into a pot. It's so the thing about applesauce, it's really so easy. The hardest part of the applesauce is obviously
Peeling the apples, yeah.
And what's good about applesauce is you can use apples in any shape. Like, these are getting kind of nasty, but to cut that piece out, the rest of the apple's fine. So there's really not much waste. But anyway, we just take our apples, a little bit of water, just plain old water is what we use because we keep ours sugar-free, fat-free, and all those frees. And it's very good. This way with the blended apples. Water, apples, and some cinnamon. And that's it. But a couple, depending how much, some people really like cinnamon, so they get a little heavy. I like to put it in the beginning so it all cooks together. These apples are going to take the blend I have here with those Granny Smith, and they take the longest, probably take about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to make the applesauce. So I cut them into chunks, add the water, put it on a low flame, stir it from time to time so it doesn't stick. Sometimes you have to add a little water, depending on how juicy the apples are. You're not going to get a whole lot of moisture from them if it's an older apple. So you are going to have to add a little bit of water. If you don't mind having the calories or whatever, you can add orange juice. You can add some kind of brandy. You can do it in rum. It's a common theme. You can do it in any liquid that you like to drink in general. We have these Luza drinks that a lot of people don't know about. These are nectars. We have a pear, mango, peach, and I think there's a banana. But these kind of fruit juices, if you put them to use for applesauce or pear sauce or peach sauce, it's so much flavor. And it's really a good thing to have in your fridge because you can use it for anything. Even if you're heating up, an old piece of chicken, you can throw a little, shake that up, add a little bit of that to your chicken and cover it up, and it moistens up your chicken and adds a nice flavor. So anyway, I'm cutting my apples, throwing them in the water, throwing them on a low light. Takes about 20, 25 minutes. When you stir it, while you're cooking it, when the apples are falling apart at a really nice consistency, then they're done. I like my applesauce chunky. So this is normally, you can see I made this one. So there's still chunks in my apples. A lot of people do not like chunky. They want it nice, smooth, like the boggers. Do I have that? I probably have to show it.
Yeah, it's right there back behind you. Behind the apples.
This you can see right through there. It's more of like a baby food type
Texture. Yeah.
Which is fine too. I mean, I'll eat that just as well, but I prefer the chunky style. So if you want this more puree style, there's two ways to get it. Cook your apples with a little bit more liquid for a longer period of time, or simply take one of those food processors or food pulsers and throw it and put it in your apples towards the end, and it'll blend it up for the consistency that you want. All right. Applesauce. That's a pretty basic one. Like I said, you can do this with peaches, pears. You can add pears to this. You can add cranberries to this. You could make a blend of any type of fruits, harvest fruits that you could think of, and still have a really nice sauce. Trying to think of when a lot of people I know will take applesauce and puree it really, really fine, and then add, like I said, a rum or a brandy to it and use it as part of a fruit comfort. And that's really good. So you put it on the bottom, you put your fall fruits like blackberries and blueberries on top, and drizzle a little bit of juice on top that comes from your applesauce. Delicious. All right.
Especially with some ice cream.
I should have made some of that. I just thought it was off the top. But all right, applesauce. Any questions on applesauce? It's pretty easy.
No, well, we had another comment about turning the potato pancakes. Somebody said that her mother used one fork, but it takes her 2 forks. But you all used a spatula, which is what I would use. But it's all a matter.
What did
I don't know. Somebody said they use a fork to turn them. I would imagine they would fall apart, but I don't know.
Well, you could use a fork on the, as an edge, but
Right.
Everybody, back in those days, they didn't have, they had spatulas, but I think people used whatever they had. You
Right.
had a fork, flipped it with the fork.
Your bubby used a
Yeah.
fork.
She used.
That's right.
Wiped it on her apron.
That's right.
All right. Anything else?
Okay. Any other questions? No, I don't see any.
Oh,
Okay.
that's pretty good. We covered applesauce.
Last time we had tons of questions about the apples.
You must have done a good job tonight, right? Or they heard it last year and they don't need it again.
That's probably what it was. Okay, so our next thing that we're making is a fall, and we thought we'd bring in some, this is all year round, doesn't have to be for any certain. We thought we'd try, this is butternut squash. I know a lot of people are afraid of butternut squash, not so much to eat it, but to do anything with it, mainly because it's difficult to work with. And although I don't have a whole butternut squash, you know, it's a very large, it can be a very large squash. It's a very tough skin and it's very difficult to peel. So because of the world of convenience right now, we can actually order, just like I was able to order those potatoes, I can order these chunks of butternut squash. So this is called peeled and diced butternut squash. So I literally comes in a bag. I take it right out of the bag. It's just like this. It makes life so much easier. I'm sure if you go to Wegmans or some other places, you have seen this. You've probably seen it spiralized. You've probably seen it sliced thin, like a pasta sheet or something like that. Same type of thing. And it's a really good product to use. Sometimes it's worth buying convenience. That's what we're doing. It's better for me to buy this the way it is and pull it right out of a package than it is to pay somebody to do the same work where it's going to take so much time and energy. They could be working on something far more important. So butternut squash is a really, really simple recipe. This is just the butternut squash I told you about.
Is this the honey glazed butternut squash?
Yeah, you
Oh,
told
I wanted to see this. Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our squash, add a little bit of olive oil. It doesn't have to be olive oil. You can use canola oil, whatever the oil is that you like to use. And we're going to add some fresh garlic. This is about 2 cloves of garlic. You can also use the already chopped garlic. You know, you keep it in the fridge, just pull it out as you need it. So we have to do fresh garlic all the time. Certainly a great substitute. Some pepper. Depending on how much you like. I like a lot of pepper, but some people don't like pepper at all. So that's seasonings are completely to your taste. You can always take away, but I mean, you can always add, you can't take away. I'm sure. So I've got my oil, my salt, my pepper, garlic, and that's it. I'm going to toss that up, throw it on a sheet pan, and pop it in the oven for about 20 minutes at a nice golden brown around the edges. And through the magic of Zoom, I have a tray. This is coming out of the oven right now. So while I go get that, why don't you talk about the rest of it?
You do? She's very efficient.
Lisa?
She ran to get the butternut squash.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask her a question.
Maybe I can answer for you, Carol.
Well, how about since I love butternut squash soup, how do you make it into soup?
Oh, the butternut squash? You would just, you'd have to cook it and puree it and just throw it into a food processor.
This is just a cookie sheet. And you see now that they're soft, they have a nice brown. Some are big, some are little, and they get different, like a caramelization on, which gives them some sweetness. And then what we're gonna do with this, we put them in a bowl. There's a couple different ways to do this. I like, this comes with feta cheese, and I like my feta cheese melted and warm. I like it cold also, but in this recipe, I prefer it warm. So I'm gonna take my cooked butternut squash and just add some chunks of feta. When I cooked the butternut squash, I cooked it in a 375 oven, and like I said, about 20-25 minutes. And then I'm also going to add some apple chunks. And again, I'm just using a blend of apples. There's some Granny Smith in here. There's some Honeycrisp, all different kinds of apples. And then I'm also going to throw in, where are my
Cranberries?
Yeah, somewhere around here are my magic cranberries. Oh, I think they're over there.
Underneath.
A store this big, you think we wouldn't lose something, and yet we'll find them.
We lost cranberries.
We'll find them when you leave.
But we will add cranberries.
So anyway, we're going to add the cranberries to this, and we're going to pop it in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. And we know they're going to be done because the cranberries are going to pop. You can use fresh cranberries, and the cranberries are going to pop. Let it cool just a little bit. Throw all this into a bowl. And then
Drizzle with honey.
you're gonna take it and drizzle it with a little bit of honey. Toss it lightly and put it in a bowl. And this is basically what you'll be coming up. It's a roasted butternut apple salad. Now, it can be served cold, it can be served hot, and it can also be used, you can use any other squash chip. You can add
That
it to the
happens to have
squash.
no feta in it.
This
I
one
have
does
a
not.
couple of questions. They're not, one is, can you use frozen cranberries and defrost them first?
Yes, absolutely.
Did
You can
you,
also use dry cranberries, but I wouldn't cook those dry cranberries. I put those in at the end. You're gonna use the sun-dried cranberries. I put those in at the end.
did you crisp the butternut before you added all the other stuff in the oven for a while?
No.
No,
Oh, crisp
okay,
in the oven. I'm sorry. I baked it for 25 minutes.
Yes, she baked it
Yeah.
first.
first, and then added the other ingredients,
Correct.
and then put it back in for 12 minutes.
About 12 to 15. Once those
Right.
cranberries pop.
Because fresh cranberries, when you put them in the oven, they will like burst sort of, and and then they sort of like decompress, and they ooze a lot of nice juices. So it really makes a nice flavor for added to the butternut squash.
And the feta. And like I said, the feta, you can bake it in with the apples and cranberries, or if you like it cold, you just put it on the top, crumble it at the end.
Any other
And we also-
questions? Will
we
this
also have
freeze
this-
as
we also
well,
have
or
this-
can you cook
I'm
this
sorry.
ahead of time and freeze it, or it's better
No, I
fresh?
wouldn't freeze butternut squash. You
Okay,
could make it. You could probably make it a day or two ahead.
Don't add I wouldn't add the feta.
But I would
till
leave
last
the,
minute.
yeah, I would think this is more of like prep it yesterday and cook it today. If you're gonna use it for like Thanksgiving or something, cook your squash today, but add it all together tomorrow and bake it for that final,
okay.
if you wanna prep it. But yeah, definitely not a good freezer item.
And the apples are raw when you add them to the squash.
Correct.
Okay.
And also, just so you know, go back to the applesauce, that is certainly freezable. You can make applesauce today and pop it in the freezer and use it any time of the year.
Well, and you can put it in different size containers, so you can take out a little bit at a time.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So, okay. Any other questions? Y'all want to tell us what you're doing for fall in your store?
Well, let's see. We just got a shipment of gift items in. We have Thanksgiving, obviously, and we have Christmas, Hanukkah. So we just brought, again, that supply chain I told you about. We're not getting everything in that we've ordered, but it's starting to come in, and it's exciting to unpack it all, and people are picking it up off the tables quickly.
Well, we have a nice line of Abdullah chocolates right now and we have a nice Christmas and Hanukkah selection coming in. We just haven't received them yet, but they're on order.
And then we have like simple gifts under $20. We're trying to stay under the $20 range. So we have some vases and,
We have donut socks.
donut socks, little inspirational boxes, mugs,
Yeah.
just gifts that you can come in and grab for somebody.
Little ladies.
But it's fun to go shopping. I know we shop for gifts for other people to buy, and it's really fun, but it's so hard getting things in here. We order so many things and we get a fraction of what we need. But what else do we have? And we do have a Hanukkah menu out as well as our Thanksgiving
Yes, we
menu.
do.
So if anybody needs anything. And you know what, ladies, and Bunny had mentioned this last year, but with the bad weather coming up, don't forget we deliver. We bring you whatever you need.
When you send us the recipes, do you want to send us the Hanukkah and the Thanksgiving
Oh, yeah.
menu?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of those are online, just to let you know.
Okay.
But we will send them to you.
Now while we're doing this, there are a few people who I don't have emails for. So if you don't think I have it because you're not regularly part of Women of BHC, please put your email in the chat so we can send you the information when we get it. Who I'm looking to see who was here that I didn't know.
I'll send you.
Slotnick, somebody Slotnick, I forget.
I'll send you the names of everyone.
over
Right,
here.
but Carol Slotnick, send me your email because I don't have it, okay? And Linda and Larry, I don't know who you are, so I don't have your email. Is there anybody else that I don't
Linda
have?
and Larry, or it's Linda Miller.
Oh, that's
Oh,
me.
it's
Okay,
Linda and
Linda.
Larry Miller. Okay, then I have that. Okay. If I know somebody else, Linda and Larry. Anybody else that I may not have? Marcy, send me yours. I think I have it, but it'd be great if you put it in the chat.
I don't know if you guys know about Mouth Party, but we do. They're a local company that they sell the most incredible caramels. There's a chocolate sea salt, the sea salt, the chocolate enrobed. They're delicious and they're really great gifts.
I do have a question for Barbara. Lisa, explain your hours. Let us know your hours.
We're here. We open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and Monday through Friday, we're here until 7. Weekends, 8 to 5. Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 5.
And you do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A lot of people do not think of us when it comes to dinner, but just to let you know, we will be coming up with some specials to sort of entice some people to come in and have dinner with us. We also have alcohol we can serve, beer, we can give you a glass of wine. I mean, you can have a chicken pot pie and a glass of wine. What could be better than that? Or a cup of Maryland crab soup and a salad. So, and main courses. So we're coming up with some menus that that hopefully will entice some people to come in for dinner.
They have popcorn from Ocean City. They have caramel corn from Ocean City.
Linda Schwartz, put your email in, please. Question, how far do you do deliveries? How many miles, basically?
Well, we deliver in the local area. Just to let you know, we do a lot of Shiva orders. Those are free of charge. We never charge for delivery for Shiva orders. However, if local lunch businesses, lunch orders or dinner orders, there's a $5 delivery fee for the Pikesville Owings Mills area, and it's a minimum of $40. And we'll go just about anywhere. I mean, we've gone down into the city. So there really is no limit as to where we'll go. Just has to be at least a $40 order.
Two things. One is, what are the hours of the Owings Mills store? Are they the same as the
No, unfortunately not. The Owings Mills store is closed Monday and Tuesday, and that's only because of COVID and staffing. As probably everyone knows, we're having a very difficult time keeping staff. Anybody in the industry, it's just not in our industry, it's everywhere across the board. And they're open from 8 to 3 every day until 4 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday.
And
let me turn around so you can see me.
What kind of availability of fresh turkeys will there be? You don't sell fresh turkeys, do you?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
They're advertised on our holiday menu, actually. They're $3.99 a pound. And we'll also put them in a pan for you if you wish. Give you all the seasonings. Sometimes people just don't like the full with raw turkey. We'll clean it for you and take care of all of the insides.
How far in advance do we need to order the fresh turkey so you have some idea?
Probably at least, we'll stop taking orders about a week before Thanksgiving. So anytime up until that point. Okay. Obviously, the earlier, the better. You get a better selection of sizes.